Good morning, everyone. So, as we have shared that we are just a week away from launching our early detection oral cancer test, and we are going to even showcase our platform how it looks like maybe in a couple of days, right? But I'm going to talk a bit about uh, basics about the onset and progression of cancer, where there's a lot of misinformation or lack of scientific literacy when it comes to how the cancer develops, right? And we have heard a lot of people. Someone is saying it's a genetic mutation. Someone is, uh, blaming entirely on smoking tobacco and alcohol, right? Although these external chemicals and harmful toxic compounds which we consume for our own pleasure do have an impact on mitochondrial function and oxidative phosphorylation, right? So again, these do play a key role in onset and progression of disease, but that's not the only factor, right? And again, cancer as such is a metabolic disease, right? And we really need to understand. First thing is that why, how a cancer develops, how a normal cell which is inside your body, right, and due to survival mechanism probably leads to unprecedented growth, and that leads to formation of tumor and obviously spread across different parts of the body, and how these cells also survive and grow in an environment inside our body, right? So let us talk with the basics. So essentially, if we go look at pre-mitochondria level, when there was organisms in the environment, there was uncontrolled growth because they were using fermentation as an energy source, right? And there was not a controlled sort of environment, which again, the mitochondria is an organelle which uses oxidative phosphorylation to oxidize, which is again oxidize nutrients in terms of oxygen to give us ATP and in turn raise carbon dioxide and moisture which goes outside our body every time we breathe, right? So essentially, uh, it controls the growth and regulates the growth of of cells, right? And again, that is the key. Understanding the mitochondria is the key, and the mitochondrial dysfunction is is the real cause for onset and progression of cancer. So what damages oxidative phosphorylation, or probably what causes mitochondrial dysfunction is again, it's not something which happens overnight. It is a chronically development of causing of mitochondrial dysfunction. Again, it can be caused by inflammation, right? Chronic inflammation, which could be caused by a microbiome, right? Oxidative stress, again, certain wrong oral hygiene practices, right? A lot of cavities which may lead to root canal treatment, which we have discussed last time. So, the RCT uh, could lead to sort of mitochondrial dysfunction, cell dysfunction, low pH, low oxygen environment, which is again, is linked to the growth of uncontrolled growth of cells. So essentially, when there's a mitochondrial dysfunction, again, before that, it is important to understand that the dietary choices we are making right now, right, is really making us increase the risk of onset of population of cancer. And again, India right now has a 13% population higher risk of cancer, which is much more than the diabetic population right now in India, and it is going to become biggest epidemic, right? And again, so you know, when there is mitochondrial dysfunction because of inflammation of stress, so when we are consuming, we're smoking, we are taking alcohol, we are consuming a lot of sugary stuff, artificial sweeteners, seed oils, vegetable oils, eating a lot of these. So again, the bad fats, right? Again, lack of certain healthy fats such as you know monounsaturated fats, right? Or maybe consuming too much of polyunsaturated fats, too much of omega-6, which is altering your cell structure and fluidity, which is you know making your cell weak and even we discussed also a process where iron could enter your cell and react with lipid peroxidation to actually cause metabolic dysfunction, right? So, so this could, as I mentioned, mitochondria actually regulates your cell cycle, regulates your cell growth, and there's a metabolic dysfunction. So instead of ATP, right, because of ATP, it produces radioactive species which damage your DNA, your protein, your RNA, your nucleic acid, and you know, it, it, it leads to uncontrolled cell growth, and since which is again leads to onset of cell proliferation and onset of growth of cancer. So essentially, uh, second part is important to understand is how these uh, after the mitochondrial dysfunction, how these cells survive and grow, right? And again, this is again lead to when you're because of toxins or smoking or alcohol or seed oils or wrong dietary choices or inflammation, oxidative stress, all these could impact, the which could damage oxidative phosphorylation, which is again a process of producing ATP in the presence of oxygen. So the energy, so your body cannot, or mitochondria cannot use, the energy this produce give ATP in presence of oxygen, and these source of energy, specifically glucose and amino acids like glutamine, is fermented by a process called fermentation. That is an ancient pathway, right? So before mitochondria was there, these organisms and used to use fermentation pathways for their growth, right? And again, in this case, when there is a damage of oxygen phosphorylation or there is a medical dysfunction, right, which again leads to these uncontrolled cell growth. And again, for their growth, they use fermentation pathways to ferment a lot of these which is glucose and glutamine, and which again, when they ferment, they produce byproducts such as lactic and succinic acid, which again increase your acidic environment, and again these further leads to the again low pH level sort of, and again it's further the growth of these cancer cells and tumors, right? And again, there's cell proliferation and cell growth, right? So so to very be very sure of, and in summary, so the focus has to be on identifying these signal before the cell proliferate and grow. So again, it goes to your what is your inflammatory level, what is the chronic inflammation going on, what is the level of oxidative stress, what how your oral health is going on, because again, food canal is linked to your cancer onset, right? Your dietary choices, right? And again, so these all could gradually lead to mitochondrial dysfunction, which could lead to uncontrolled cell growth, and again, cells would use fermentation pathways, right, to actually uh, basically to actually grow, and they generally use this source of fuels like glucose or glutamine, right, which to to do fermentation and then grow, and then they produce byproducts such as succinic acid and lactic acid, which further its acidic environment further lead to low pH level, which further leads to cell growth and proliferation. Right? So, and unfortunately, a lot of uh, solutions what we have right now are either using genes to treat your risk of cancer, which is not the case when it's not a genetic disease, which is a metabolic disease. So, there may be few genetic mutations happening, like there may be few reasons for genetic disorders, cancer situation, but it is not only about, so mutation generally, so certain mutation happens when there is, mitochondrial dysfunction. So it leads to ROS is mutagenic, which causes certain DNA damage and protein damage, which causes, again, the onset of cancer, right? So ideally, and again, most of the solutions and treatments which are do not work for majority of people because these again chemicals being put inside our body. Right? So ideally, we have to understand the onset and the progression of cancer, right? Much before the cell proliferate and grow, much before the tumor develops, right? And there are indication in terms of how do you measure, the processing of toxins, the inflammatory level, the oxidative stress, the metabolic dysfunction, right? Uh, the antimicrobial activity. So there are multiple things, right? So essentially understand it is a metabolic disease. The outcome is mitochondrial dysfunction. So smoking and tobacco, alcohol are one of the key reasons, but that's not the only reason. So every time, you cannot just blame, uh, tobacco and alcohol only, right? So they are, but again, your dietary choices, your lifestyle choices, your consumption of a lot of these ill-fated seed oils, vegetable oils, a lot of sugary stuff, right? Maybe having a lot of stress, not working out. So these are few of the individual risk factors. Again, preventing oxidative stress. That is something that we have to look at. So there's a lot of consumption of food which are high in antioxidants like polyphenols is really great, right? Taking care of the oral hygiene. Do not take mouthwashes. Do not take your toothpaste which are high in fluoride. You should have a lot of hydroxyapatite. You should remineralize your teeth, right? Again, this involves a lot of foods which are high in polyphenol, resveratrol, antioxidants, right? Brush twice daily, right? So these are few of the things we should do, right? Obviously, do not take tobacco and alcohol. That is another thing. But again, this is a gradual process, and right now there's no solution which could measure the changes in your chemistry right before that precedes your tumor development and tumor growth and cell proliferation, cell growth. So essentially, uncontrolled cell growth. So essentially, this is what we have started with oral cancer, which is again India accounts for one third of the global incidence, right? And India leads the pack in terms of oral cancer. And again, it is linked to your tobacco, your alcohol, HPV infection, and majorly the disruption in the function of the oral microbiome. Right? So we are coming up with this. We are going with this maybe by 15th of August. We are, going to measure the molecular features that precedes tumor development, which would cover the inflammatory pathway, which would cover the antimicrobial pathway, which will cover the pathogenic pathway, which will even cover the cell proliferation pathway, which will even cover the, certain aspects such as the existence of, or the production of volatile sulfur compounds, right? Which is again, halitosis again, a early risk factor for, oral cancer and even, type 2 diabetes and, have been linked with the early risk factor for oral cancer, right? So this is something we need to remember that, we don't have to we have to maintain a proper healthy mitochondria because without that there is no oxidative phosphorylation and all the energy would be used, but there will be uncontrolled cell division, cell growth. They would be used, these food sources would be used uh, to extract energy via fermentation, which is again Asian pathway, and fermentation would further lead to production of succinylase and lactic acid, which is again in here acidic environment, lowers your pH and again correlation of these cancer cells, right? So that's it. Have a great day. Thank you very much.